Hi, Becky. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Oh, good, because I was having some trouble with my microphone when I was trying to test it, so I wasn't sure what was happening. But I'm ready now.
Did the script look okay to you?
Yep, I've been through it.
Um, we did receive a park request
Oh,
from the car show from the CJ Lions, but they haven't submitted all of their, their certifications or anything like that. So we told them we were going to put them on the next meeting.
okay. When is the show?
June 25th.
So that should be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the end of June, and the next meeting will be in May. And will you announce the next, the second meeting that we're having?
Sure.
I didn't know when that should fit in there.
Yeah, I'll just talk about it at the end of the meeting, and we're having two meetings for a couple of months until we get through the charter and the budget. And
can you do an update on the charter committee? I didn't ask you about that. For the liaison updates, or I'm not sure when that should happen.
Sure, I can talk about it. We haven't received any. John Miles has applied, and Barbara Ford is interested in applying, but those are the only two people that I've heard from regarding the charter. We have a full budget committee. We have one new person that we can appoint at the next meeting, and our first budget meeting is May 5th.
Okay, so do we need to go out and start looking for some budget people?
Not budget people, charter.
Excuse me, charter people. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, I've been trying. It's just, people are busy and we're just not very interested.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'll run the ad again. You're so noisy.
Do you want me say something about it for my liaison updates?
Yeah, and you could put it in. Did you put anything in one of your letters, in your mayor letters?
Not this time. I did not. But I thought I had before, like the one. I thought for sure I had after we approved the changes or looked at the changes that Rowan did. But maybe that's what I should.
Oh, so I ran that ad for the charter committee on the 23rd, the 30th, and last week. So I could run it again.
Yeah.
A couple more times.
Okay. And then
I think we're just going to have to go solicit.
I think that's right.
And whenever I come into these situations, I just can't think about I just can't remember, like, who lives in town, that would be interested. It's just going to be a couple of meetings, I think. And
Yeah, I think so too.
Rowan's outline and her comparisons is so perfect that I think it will make it go really, really smooth.
Right, I think most of it is going to, half of it'll be going through the outline that they did, and then there'll be discussion.
Yeah.
Then we can do the discussion as we do. All right, I'll put my thinking cap on and try to see who we know that's actually in city limits that would be good for that.
Okay, and I'll run the ad again.
Okay.
I'll send it to Laura again.
I like your sunglasses, Ethan. Look very
Yeah,
mild.
I was playing around with some of the filters before we got on here.
I know.
Now I got to
Yeah,
figure out how to get rid of it.
we used to do that, put lipstick on and all sorts of funny things.
Right. Do you want to, I don't have, that's what all I have is the login and the password. Can you not log in? You just go on your computer and log into Zoom.
Two minutes. What we got? Somebody's having trouble logging in.
Alex, thanks for replacing our stop sign down at the store. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, Ethan. Glad we could do it for you.
Where is everybody? Becky, you're muted. Ah, there we go. That's right, Monique. Okay, we have a quorum now. Do you know whether Tina or Jesse will be here at the meeting? Did they say anything to you?
Jesse is joining us right now, and I think Tina is too.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I think, is Tina's husband Mark?
I can't.
I know, me neither.
No, his name is Mike.
Mike.
You were close.
Well, Mark Jones has logged on, so.
Tina usually has her own login. But
Yeah, she might be at work, but she didn't, I don't remember. But I can't remember today. Today was that day.
I think we've got a quorum now. So I think let's, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Welcome to all those who have joined us today for the video platform City Council meeting. Today is Monday, April 11th, 2022. And signed into our meeting, we have Councilor Ethan Lane, Councilor Jean Ann Miles. Did any come in that I missed?
Jesse is here somewhere.
Okay, I don't see him. Oh, there he is, Councilor Jesse Dugas, and myself, the Mayor, Meadow Martell. So in order to address each item on tonight's agenda with clarity, I will introduce an item, ask for a motion in a second, and then we'll open the floor for discussion by asking each council member in order if they would like to provide comments. So starting with agenda item number 1, it's updates for the City Council from our Public Works Director, Alex Ponder. Alex, you have the floor.
Good evening, everybody. So this week, our main project, we're in the back of the park doing a fire fuels reduction. It's just the whole back 5 acres back there is nothing but brush, and it's been kind of turned into a camp. There's feces and trash everywhere. And so we're trying to just kind of mitigate the fire hazard there. About 2 weeks ago, there was a fire about a 1/4 acre in size, and there's been fires all winter long there. And last year there was a fire that burned the neighbor's fence line. So our project right now is to get all the brush and some of the smaller diameter trees out and open it up so it's not going to be a problem this summer when things are looking pretty dry as it is. So that's what we're working on this week, and we've got some rented equipment that we'll have all week long to accomplish that. The weather, it's good for burning, but it's a little bit messy, but it's going to work out good. So that's going pretty well. I've also got a meeting with Energy Trust of Oregon, looking at some of our antiquated lights that we have around, mainly at the park. The pavilion lights need to be replaced, and also both of our plants are needing some outside lights. You get calls in the middle of the night, and you really depend on that lighting out there, and some of it needs some love for sure. So working with them and see what they can come up with and what we can come up with, and hopefully we can find some common ground and move forward with that project. We're moving forward with the bulk water station at 1500 Golf Club Drive. We're going to work on getting power out there. We're going to start the process this week, and I'm not sure when we'll actually have power out there, but soon, moving forward with Pacific Power. And Pro Electric's can help us out with that project. Eric Larson, our wastewater plant operator, is working on the renewal for the wastewater discharge permit, and that's going pretty smooth. It looks like it's kind of a process back and forth, and he's about halfway through that, it sounds like, and so far no major changes. And we actually had a meeting with 5 members of DEQ a few weeks back. They were from all over the state, and it was a good meeting, and they were really pleasantly pleased with the way the plant's been ran and how it's running right now. So that was a good meeting. Let's see what else. We have a couple problematic control valves at the water plant that we need to get addressed before summertime, and we're working on that. One of them is a clay valve, a 16-inch clay valve. I think it's 16-inch. Don't quote me on that actually. That the way it was designed, engineered, and installed, in order to get to it, you need to pull the top off of it, but it's up against the roof of the water plant. So that's going to be a project. It's doable, but it's just going to be something that shouldn't probably never been that way, but it is what it is. So we'll get on that. We'll get it. Let's see, what else do we have? The guys are wrapping up the annual fire hydrant exercise and repair for this year. That's all going smooth. There's a few hydrants that need some repair, and that's happening. We're getting ready for our Watkins and 199 water line improvement project. That's in the works. I'm meeting with ODOT, an engineer from ODOT, because Watkins and 199 and from 199 south, it's full of what they call traffic loop sensors. They control the lights, and there's 20 plus that we may or may not come in contact with. So we're trying to figure out a way to maybe plan ahead and, get, there's been talk of a radar or a traffic signal camera installed before construction. That way we're not really affecting ODOT's 199 traffic too badly. So that's kind of where we're at. Those are some of the projects that we're on. There's many more, but that's what I have for tonight anyways.
Thank you. I'm going to ask if councils have any questions for Alex, and we'll start with, oh gosh, now I forgot the numbers. I can't, if I say, let's see. I guess it's Ethan Lane is council one, right?
Yes.
That is correct. I don't have any questions at this time. I am curious at how the Watkins and 189 water line project is going to affect traffic, but I guess that's to be determined. So we'll see how that works out.
Okay, yes. Let's see, council number 3, Jean Ann Miles.
I don't have any real questions. I too am concerned about how that's going to go. Do you anticipate, I guess I do have a couple questions. Do you anticipate, Alex, that will be a project lasting into the summer, the Watkins 199, or when do you anticipate that to even begin?
Not sure when, it's all about getting the bids. And well, it's got to go out to bid first. So we're getting there. We're getting all our ducks in a row for that. And then it goes out to bid. And then, Becky would know more about the bid process than I do at this time. I'm still learning. But and then we get the bids back, and if we get bids, and we go from there. So I think once it's moving along, it shouldn't be an incredibly long process. I wouldn't imagine. I think they're going to want to knock it out, and we want it knocked out. So it should go well.
Okay, thank you. The other question I have, or comment I have, is I really appreciate the update. It really helps us to have some idea of what's happening, and to hear these things directly from you is really helpful. And I really do appreciate that. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome. I hope in the future I can make them a little smoother and they'll get better.
No, you know what was nice is to hear from you now, because we drove by the park today and I'm going, what in the world is going on? We thought, well, we'll go around by South Old Stage and see through the back. No, couldn't see anything there. So then we drove back to the church and saw through the church, and we're kind of going, okay, we see there's a fire. Obviously it's a fire, but what is, and my husband says, well, it's probably because of the work they're doing at the park. And so to have your confirmation of that, to know that everything is going the way it's supposed to go. The only other question I have is, you did let the fire department know that you were going to be doing that this week, correct?
I did. I've been in contact with Cameron, and we have burn permits, and they're pretty happy with everything that we're doing. I think they're
okay.
all,
I just wanted to verify so that they don't end up getting all kinds of calls without knowing what's happening, because that it wouldn't be the first time. So anyway, thanks so much. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, council number 4, Mr. Dugas, do you have any questions?
I do not. Nice job, Alex.
Thanks, Jesse.
I don't have any questions either, other than like Councilor Miles, I express my gratitude. I'm very happy we have a public works director. I can already see that some of the projects are getting underway, and I think that's a really good thing. So thank you very much, Alex.
Thank you.
So moving on to agenda item number 2 is our consent agenda, and in it we have the minutes of the previous meeting, which we've already received some corrections and comments from Councilor Miles. We have planning updates, municipal court updates, and park use requests, but do we have any park use requests? I didn't see that.
No, as I mentioned before, we have received one from CJ Lyons, who will be having a car show this year, but we wanted to get some more information and intend to put them on the agenda at our next meeting, maybe the May 9th meeting.
Okay, thank you. So I would entertain a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. So we have a motion and second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? And I will start with Council 1.
Not at this time.
Council 3.
I do a question about the municipal court update. if we had progress on what was happening with that situation.
I have not even actually searched for a judge who might be interested in filling in for Jack. One of the things we need to address is changing the charter to allow a previous attorney to act rather than someone who's licensed with the board, which is what I would suggest. And then Jack would continue his work with us for several reasons. Jack is the perfect fit for our community. He's familiar with our citizens and the process and how it works best with our citizens. And second of all, we're not going to find anybody to come out here for $150.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious on that one because we hadn't heard back for the last couple of months, and I was just curious where we were on that. Thanks so much, Becky.
You're welcome.
Council number 4, do you have any comments or questions?
I do not.
Okay. So hearing no further discussion, I'll call a vote. How do you vote, Council 1?
Aye.
Council 2? Oh, excuse me, Council 3?
Aye.
Council 4?
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Becky, you might, if I'm calling, you might let me know if Council number 2 comes in and I don't see it on my screen.
Okay, I'll keep looking.
Thanks. Okay, so moving on to agenda item number 3 is council liaison updates, and we'll start with Councilor number 1, Ethan Lane.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing major to report. The CEDC meeting last month was canceled for spring break conflicts, so we'll have one later this week, I believe, maybe next week, I could be wrong. Anyway, I did go to the IVFD board meeting tonight, and Emily Ring was there presenting the emergency operations plan. And of course, her eloquence is always greatly appreciated. Sounds like the IVFD board was also appreciative of her presentation. It kind of comes in conjunction with Charlie Fouch and his Prep U courses that he's been trying to get going. And Jean Ann might be able to back me up on this one. I think they're the first Thursday of the next few months, and it's just a preparation course for any kind of emergency. Charlie has been a great resource for our community for several years now, and he's heading up those classes in conjunction with Emily Ring. So there's some money coming in to pay for that sort of thing. A conversation that came up last meeting and also this meeting, I was unable to attend the workshop before the IVFD board meeting, but Director Binker, who is on the IVFD board, brought up a really good point that needs to be discussed about private structural fire service providers and the fire service standards that should be met when it comes to these providers. And I think it's something that's important for us to really kind of take a look at. There's really nothing detailed in this conversation just yet, but it's more protection for the landowners of our community to be able to have consistent and proper fire protection for their property and their homes without paying somebody who just has a fire sticker on their pickup truck to protect their home. So again, it's just a conversation right now, no action that's being taken, but it's definitely something that perked my interest, and I think that we should consider supporting Michelle's quest.
Okay, thank you. I just noticed Council number 2, Tina Casey Jones, popped in, and we're doing the council liaison updates. Do you have anything you'd like to add or you'd like to report?
Actually, my apologies first, but talk about serious technical difficulties on my end today. Actually, yes, we had a Parks and Rec Commission meeting or workshop rather last Thursday, where we met the 2 people that we're going to be working with for the splash pad and the upgrade and installation of new equipment at the playground. They're very dynamic, both of them. Martha Rainey, Stephen Bearden, I think is his last name. He's the guy with Raindrop. He's going to be doing the splash pad. And then Martha Rainey is doing she's with Game Time, and she'll be doing the new installation of playground equipment and this resurfacing of the playground. Also, Alex Ponder was there. Hey, Alex. And so he was able to meet them and see, exactly what's going to be involved. Basically, to make it quick, Becky and John are working really hard to keep costs down. So even though this is coming in quite a bit more than what we had originally planned on, they're doing everything they can to make the best choices for our community. Let's see, that's about it. They did say that once we move forward with the installation of the splash pad, it's going to take about 3 weeks from that point to get it rolling. And also, we're partnering with Joanna Gavlik regarding grants. Mark has expressed an interest, Mark Sudica has expressed an interest in writing some grants for additional funding for, all the work that's going to be done. So she'll be partnering, Joanna Gavlik will be partnering with Mark. And let's see, also the Alumni Association was part of the meeting, and they're also going to assist in the raising of funds. That's all I got.
Thank you very much. Council number 3, Gina Ann Miles. Any
Hi.
report?
I don't really have a whole lot to report. Most of my work recently has been involved in working on the shelter. So I haven't had a whole lot of work to do with the city, but I've been doing a lot of work to get ready for our shelter. Oh, and Ethan, you were asking about Prep U. Prep U is being run by Ricky Perrin from Emergency Management. And it starts, I believe, the first week in May, and it's every Thursday for like 7 weeks for 2 hours a night. There's a $20 fee for materials, and it should be a really good program. Previous to this, they've all been handled at the EOC in Merlin. This is the first time it's being offered here in the Illinois Valley. So it's being offered so that people here in the Valley can learn all about those things. And some of those items are really important and could make a real difference in case of a disaster. So
Yeah, every Thursday starting Cinco de Mayo. I was just informed of that. Every Thursday starting Cinco de Mayo for 7 weeks.
Right. So it should be a really good program. And then we're hoping to have some of those people join our CERT group so that we can revitalize our CERT group. So that's about all.
All right, thank you. Council number 4, Jesse Dugas. You have anything you want to comment on?
Not a ton to add. Been super slammed with Little League and high school and middle school baseball. All the programs are up and running. Little League is up and running full time. So get out there and watch the little kids play. They're a blast. Watch T-ballers and coach kids out there. And other than that, no updates.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, let me see, I'll give you my liaison updates. The library renovation is slowly moving forward. Was there a report in the packet?
Yes.
So you had a letter in there, and I just want to make a comment how much I appreciate the library staff and Teresa Stover, who's the project not director, administrator. Thank you. And how hard everybody's working to plod through all the requirements for the CDBG grant, and it just takes some patience. And we practically had Kate Lasky in tears because it was looking like it was going to be a year at least, before, maybe even 2 years before we actually could complete it. But I'll just say everybody's doing the best they can. It's a very complicated grant application with lots of technical details. So I'm just really appreciative of it. Is moving forward. I just want to assure everybody on that. And let's see, Main Street Cave Junction. We've have applied for 2 grants, have been submitted. One is the Reeser Foundation grant, which is a 4-year grant. And each year $10,000 will go towards a project. And then also the T-Mobile grant that our rare AmeriCorps person, Rowan Fairfield, submitted is for the Oak to Art project, which is the stump and back of the senior center. And so we're waiting to hear about both of those. Let's see, I'm going to be attending a economic vitality workshop in Chiloquin with Amy Lesson, who's the Main Street vice president. And it's looking like next year that Cave Junction might be the vitality hub, working with our RDI. So that could be an exciting possibility for our Main Street organization. And then after that, I also have an OMA and League of Oregon Mayors Association and League of Oregon City Conference in Hermiston. Is that next week? Next week. So I'll be gone Wednesday for the RDI Economic Hub, and then Thursday and Friday for the Oregon Mayors Association and the League of Oregon Cities. So it's going to be a busy week next week. Energy Trust of Oregon is starting rolling out their energy no cost energy efficient lights for businesses and for organizations. And I'm hoping people in Cave Junction and the Illinois Valley businesses and organizations will apply for that. They will be here this week to start doing walkthrough for eligible organizations and businesses. And it's a pretty broad category. So I hope people take advantage of it. And let's see, we're still looking for charter committee members from the community, people that live in the Illinois valleys. So we're going to be advertising in the newspaper at least 2 more times for charter committee members. And we might need to do some brainstorming if we don't get any. We've only had 2 applications so far. We might need to do some brainstorming about good people who want to be on a committee. I don't think it's going to be more than maybe 2 or 3 meetings. So it won't be an onerous obligation, and I think it'll be a really interesting one for people to look at our charter. And so I'm hoping we get more participation. Also, we've been working with the county. This Cave Junction adopted the county FEMA hazardous mitigation plan, and recently Michael Howard from the University of Oregon, who has been the consultant for the county plan, has come back with a number of specific additions for the city of Cave Junction, and I've reviewed those, and I know that our Public Works Directors reviews those. So that will be coming back after the University of Oregon looks at it. That'll be coming back to the council for approval of those final FEMA additions for the city of Cave Junction. This is the hazardous mitigation is really important to us, because if something ever happens in Cave Junction and we need, like disaster, and we need to have FEMA, we need to have a plan in place before we're eligible. So I'm very excited that is starting to move forward. So that's all I had to add or report on. So we'll move to public comment, agenda item number 4. And tonight we will open public comment up via the chat, and anyone wishing to make a 3-minute or less public comment should send a chat to the city recorder and provide your name, mailing address, and telephone number. The city recorder will then call on each of you to unmute and provide your comments. And for those speaking, the city recorder will hold up a yellow card which shows that you have 20 seconds remaining to finish your comments, and you'll need to wrap up during that time quickly, because you will be muted after that point. And I just want to remind people, please stop sending chats after the public comment period is over, and all chats are printed out and become part of the permanent record. So please do not, make sure And I think, I believe our city recorder will actually be able to turn off the chat feature. So first of all, let's find out, did we have any public comments turned in?
I did not receive any written public comments. I know that Mark Seligman would like to make comments, but there was some confusion about how he could log into tonight's meeting. Probably on my part, I'm not certain of that. So I expect to have that resolved and he'll be with us at our next meeting. And I have received one chat so far this evening from Dan Mancuso.
Okay. So Dan, you're open for 3 minutes public comment.
I just wanted to give you guys an update on the soapbox derby. So I reached out to the fire chief and he sent me, suggested I talk to Cameron with Molly. So he and I had a conversation last week. I think everything is on board there. We went and measured the track and we put little, like maybe, I don't know, sorry, it's a dog, 12-inch stripes on the road and with the foot, the distance. So if you see that, I vandalized the city's street for that, but we needed to get a feel for how long the track was and all of that. We also decided that we're going to cap it at 50 cars this year. And we feel that we can get it done in one day. So we're kind of going from 12 to 4 at this point. We think it should be plenty of time. We don't want it too big because we don't know what we're doing yet. And I don't want it to be complete chaos. So that's kind of where we're at on that. So if anybody has any questions, I'm here. Otherwise, have a great, yes.
Dan, do you have any idea how many people might be attending? Like, again?
I don't think we'll qualify for 1,000 people. I mean, I don't think we'll need a mass gathering permit. I would feel a little more comfortable if you guys kind of came up with a permit, a parade type permit, just so everybody's covered.
So I do have the temporary use permit, which is what we designed for a proposed event a few years ago. I could run that one past you, and it just has like a checklist.
Mm-hmm.
The fire chief, the law enforcement, that kind of thing. Most of it, I went through it already for you, and most of it doesn't apply.
Okay.
Helpful.
Yeah, and anything that will help us not drop the ball anywhere, that'd be great.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'll get that to you.
Any more public comments been submitted? Becky? We're going to finish the public comments and then I'll.
I have Nathan Lane has a question. At least he's that way. On
well, we don't usually during public comments.
Gotcha.
Chatting back and forth.
Okay.
And
anyway, I'm available off time for anybody who wants to talk to me about it.
All right. Thank you. Becky?
We have no other public comments.
Okay. So since we had a very short public comments, I will allow counselors, I'll just ask quickly if anybody has any comments they want to make. So we'll start with Council 1, Ethan Lane.
Hello.
Thank you.
Can I be heard?
Who is this?
Yeah.
This is Mark Seligman.
There we go.
Okay.
got
So
through.
all right. Let's back up. We do have one more public comment. And Becky, did you receive the information you need, the name and address?
I did verbally today.
Okay, fine. So go ahead, Mark. You have your 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm glad I finally got through. I wanted to inform the city council of what the sheriff is doing in the city of Grants Pass and in the county. He appeared before the city council to push for either a sales tax for law enforcement or a taxing district or another levy. His reasoning is he wants stable funding. Now, I want to point out that he already had 2 levies. Prior to the first levy, he didn't blow through. He didn't go into contingency fund 7 years ago when people asked him to, but now he did, and he's $4.5 million in debt, and that's why he needs one of these funding mechanisms. Now, cannabis is an overwhelming issue, and I am against illegal grows that are environmental damaging, as well as any grow that is environmental damaging. The sheriff has been given by the state, if he applies for it, $5 million to fight illegal grows. However, he's now quite unenthusiastic about it because he said this would be a temporary thing and would impact patrol. I don't see how if these deputies are working on marijuana cases. But here's the elephant in the room. Take a look around, drive around Illinois Valley, you will see 50 to 70% of the marijuana grows are gone. So by the time the sheriff gets this money, there's not going to be much to go after. And in another year, when he says he won't have any money, it could possibly be legal on a nationwide scale. This whole cannabis issue has gotten into private property rights because it will be on the ballot for everybody to, I hope everybody repeals the ordinance that allows administrative search warrants to come on your property to search for grows. But they're not just going to search for grows. That's the thing. Any code violations you have, no matter what they say, it's possible that they'll go after it, so your property rights will be in danger. This will be on the ballot. I'm just saying, watch the sheriff. He's trying to set everybody up. He has money available to him that he does not really, it's crazy to accept. And they say, well, it's for humanitarian endeavors. According to the author of the bill, this is to go after illegal growers. But finally, the grows are going away. This issue is a non-issue. It will be this year. So thank you very much. I just want you to be prepared for the sheriff's speech when he comes before you. Again, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Seligman. Anything else? Has anything else come in?
No, ma'am.
I think what I would like to do is I'd like to move on. If you have any questions, particularly around a project coming up, you can speak to Dan Mancuso offline. We've got a fairly big agenda tonight. So moving on to agenda item number 5, the Executive Director of the Rogue Valley Council of Governments, Anne Marie Alfrey, is here to provide us the annual report. So Maria, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys for allowing me some time on your busy agenda for the annual update. The first thing I need to start with is apologizing for a large mistake that I made in the report that went out with your packet. And it does make a difference. So if you look at the section for Food and Friends, who provides your senior meals and your home delivered meals, Meals on Wheels, your numbers are actually 4,747 congregate meals served to 54 residents and 9,378 home delivered meals provided to 42 residents. Those were provided by the 12 volunteers who donated 1,731 hours. So I wanted to get that corrected information out there. Additionally, the Food and Friends program, if you're not familiar, had to shut down for COVID. They are slowly reopening all of the meal sites. It's on a case-by-case basis, depending on how comfortable staff and the clients are. We do have clients who are not quite ready to come dine in a congregate setting. So the meal sites will still be offering a congregate meal as they reopen, but also the meals to go, which is what they had to switch to while they were closed during COVID. One thing just on the funding side, the Food and Friends program runs off of federal funds from the Older Americans Act. I do want to throw out there how important it is. If any of you ever receive our donation request mailers from Food and Friends, the federal funding lasts till about April of each year. So the rest of the money comes from contributions from our member jurisdictions to support the program in their city, but also they have a really strong donation base of folks who just mail in whatever they can. And we really appreciate any support that can be given. So that was my correction to the information that's in the packet that you received. I apologize again for that. Just kind of bringing everyone up to speed, I did want to point out, so RVCOG member dues for the city of Cave Junction are $301 a year. And that provides access to the many different services that we provide. You can all see Ryan Nolan on the call right now. One of the main services you receive from RVCOG is contract services for a land use planner who comes to your office. Other services that were contracted this current fiscal year for Cave Junction were some recruiting services from Human Resources. And Alex, I'm very happy to see you on this call. I know that Jody in our office and Mayor Martell worked really hard to try to get through that recruitment, and I'm happy to see you on board, and I hope it's working well. Other things, I unfortunately have to report that the alert wildfire camera that is in Cave Junction is still the only camera in Southern Oregon. The two other cameras that RVCOG purchased are intended for installation in Jackson County Fire District 3's jurisdiction. We are still working through the issues with tower and data feeds. I think this is just a credit to Cave Junction and your close-knit community that Cameron Camp and Ivy Data Center were just right at the forefront and willing to get that camera installed. Really appreciate his efforts there. Hopefully we're making progress on those other two cameras. They should be going up soon. But in addition to that, as far as building out the system in Southern Oregon, we partnered with the University of Oregon, the Hazards Lab, on a FEMA hazard mitigation grant with an ask for 12 additional cameras for the region and 3 years of operational costs. We have not received feedback on that grant just yet. However, we did receive feedback from the state regarding their cost share assistance funding. It was part of House Bill 5006. So good news, if we do get the grant through FEMA, we already have the state on board for providing that required match. So that's good news. The other thing you might have seen is the Oregon legislature did approve $4.5 million in state funding for Oregon's alert wildfire camera system. Unfortunately, there is nothing known about this yet. We don't know the time period it's supposed to cover. We don't know how it will be allocated across the state. But the Hazards Lab at UO was very pleased to finally have that funding earmarked, and there will be more to come on that. The other project that we're working on with University of Oregon is the Shake Alert. And I just want everybody to be aware, especially since there was a topic of conversation earlier about disaster preparedness. And I want to make sure everyone's aware that Shake Alert is available as a cell phone app. It has moved out of that beta testing that was only available on certain PCs. So I encourage everybody to download. The two apps are MyShake and Quake Alert. They're both available for Android, and I apologize. There may only be one or the other of those on iPhone at this time, but they both should be available soon. I do want to just say, as we're talking about disaster preparedness, the messaging that is out there tends to be the duck, cover, and hold on. And I encourage everybody, if you have the Shake Alert app, you are hopefully going to get 30 seconds, possibly a minute or two of warning. So take a look around when you're coming up with your disaster preparedness plan. Look at the places that you spend time. Look at the construction, because if you're in a stick-built home or business, you're probably safer to get away from objects that could potentially fall, but stay inside. If you're in unreinforced masonry, staying inside is probably the worst thing you could do. So you may want to consider heading outside, using those advanced seconds of warning to your advantage. If you do head outside, again, look around, watch for things that might fall, power lines and trees. Make sure you're at least 1.5 times away from that unreinforced masonry building that you evacuated. So putting that out there, hopefully there's some discussion during these disaster preparedness classes that are going on, but that's important. Everybody who has a cell phone has access to those apps now. So I recommend downloading those. Really other things to cover, just to make sure that everybody at the city and on this call is aware of some of the programs that Senior and Disability Services has to offer. They are sometimes little known and little used. So I just wanted to call some attention to some programs that they run. The Aging and Disability Resource Connection, also called ADRC, is a resource phone line that you can call. The local number for that is 541-618-7572. They have a website you can visit, adrcoforegon.org. But I encourage anybody who is 60 plus or experiencing disabilities or is a family caregiver to reach out. There are a lot of resources out there. It is hard to wrap your head around how many different things are available. If you need some in-depth assistance, our staff can also provide some options counseling to work through how to navigate whatever the issues are that you're experiencing. Some of the programs that we deliver for folks who are on Medicare rather than Medicaid, there are some programs to help you stay in your home longer so you don't have to go to an assisted living facility. Oregon Project Independence is available. 2 programs, 19 to 59 with disabilities or 60 plus. And the state, thankfully, is looking at expanding those programs in the future years. So we're expecting more funding, which will be give us the ability to help more individuals. So if anyone has any questions about that, call the ADRC line. They can help you with that. There are also some other things our staff are working on. Social isolation and loneliness for seniors has been a real issue during COVID. I realize we're kind of moving away from that, trying to reopen, but again, we have a lot of folks who are still in that vulnerable category and they're not comfortable, heading out in a social arena yet. So Pearls and Opal are a couple programs we have to help folks with mild depression or social isolation, and we have our staff will do some counseling sessions. They can be in person, over the phone, or virtually. So make sure if you are aware of somebody who might need that type of assistance that you encourage them to call. There are also programs for veterans. Veteran Directed Care Program is specifically for veterans and will assist them with caregivers in their home so they can stay in their home longer. And another thing to consider is something called lifelong housing. The crux of everything we're doing in Senior Disability Services is to help people age in place. So the longer you can stay in your home, the better. Lifelong housing is a checklist of things you can do that make your home more accessible. There are 2 different levels. So just some basic things that put things within reach of somebody in a wheelchair, or grab bars to assist in the shower and the bathroom. So if you're interested, go to our website and look for some information there. If you are building new construction, it is extremely cost effective to implement these simple things when you're building. You can also incorporate these into a remodel, but a lot of times it costs a little bit more to do something after the fact than if you had done it right up front. Only other thing is just a quick reminder. I know last year you did had some assistance from Peter in our grants and contracts administration. I think he gave some advice on the CBG that you're working through. Yes, they are kind of hairy. If you need assistance with any type of grant, be sure and reach out to Peter. He is pretty knowledgeable about many different things. So the CDBG, FEMA hazard mitigation grants, he has helped a lot of jurisdictions with grants for upgrades at their firehouse or emergency communications, so radios, fire trucks, things like that. So just keep in mind there's a resource there. If you have questions, go ahead and reach out. So with that, I will ask if there are any questions about the report or services or anything that RVCOG can help Cave Junction out with.
Well, thank you very much, Emery. That was a lot of information. So let me ask real quickly, Council Number 1, do you have any questions? Muted.
Sorry, I don't have any questions. I think it's a great resource and appreciate the presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Council Number 2?
Yeah, I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to also say what Ethan said. The apps sound fabulous. I'm gonna have to check them out. And also the resources for seniors, given that we live in a, aging population base here in Cave Junction, this is going to be very helpful for our people.
Yeah, thank you. Council Number 3, Jean Ann Miles.
Hello, Anne-Marie. How are you? Long time no talk to.
Yeah, you haven't called me recently.
I just wanted to say how much I enjoyed working with you and with Mike about the Alert Wildfire Camera. That was such a great experience, and it was beneficial for our community. And I'm really excited that we have that. I'm sad to hear that we are still the only one in the region that has it, but at least we have it. So that helps our valley. I did want you to know that the Shake Alert and MyQuake, both of those apps are available on iPhone. I've had them for probably a year on my phone. So they are available. And when we had a series of tremors, very small tremors several months ago, why I did get my alerts. So they definitely work and there's good information there. So in fact, I would love to see if there's a way that we can get sensors. Way back, Dr. Toomey, I think it was, came to an RVCOG presentation and talked about Shake Alert and seismographs in communities. I don't know if that's still being done or not, but if so, I would love to see if there's a way to get something like that in Cave Junction, because that would just simply help with the early warning system. And I don't know if there's anything out here or not, but I would love to look into that aspect. So, but anyway, thank you so much. You, as always, have great things to share with us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council Number 4.
No questions, just echoing the other council members' comments. Fantastic presentation, and thank you for your time and effort.
Yes, and the mayor said it pretty much echoes the same thing. I appreciate having the written report. If I have any questions, I know where to go look for it. And I think you're doing a very good job. Thanks so much. So moving on to agenda item number, let's see, 6. We're on 6 now. Resolution number 940, amendment, a resolution to correct Scrivener's error and to address only those funds that were not already appropriated. Ask our recorder, do we need to read the whole thing or can we do it by title?
It's up to the council. If you would like me to read by title only, someone could make a motion to do so.
I move that we read Resolution 940, Scrivener's error amendment by title only.
I second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'm going to call the vote. How do you vote, Council 1?
Aye.
Council 2?
Aye.
Council 3?
Aye.
Council 4?
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye.
Motion to read by title only passes 5-0. Resolution number 940, a resolution to increase budget appropriations to receive coronavirus relief funds and provide spending authority to use those funds to construct a new bulk water station. This is an amendment to correct Scrivener error wherein the reserve fund adjusted is corrected to read water fund, and to appropriate amounts received but not appropriated. essentially, we had budgeted for the $200,000 in the previous budget, but we needed to appropriate the 19,560. And so this resolution puts that money into the water fund and then puts it under capital outlay to be spent on the bulk water station.
Thank you very much. So I would entertain a motion and a second to approve the amendment to resolution number 940.
I
moved
so
we-
move.
And it sounds like we had a second in there.
Yeah, I'm second.
Thank you. So I'll ask if there's any further discussion. Council 1.
Becky, you had said $200,000, but it says 400,000 on the document. Was that just an error?
No, on the document, the existing funds in the bulk water station resource is 400. And I added 19,561 to it. So now it is 419,561.
Okay.
Okay, I have no other questions then.
Council 2, any questions?
No.
Council 3, any questions?
No questions.
Council 4?
No questions.
Okay, hearing no further discussion, I'll call the vote. How do you vote? Council 1,
Aye.
Council 2,
Aye.
Council 3,
Aye.
Council 4,
Aye.
and the mayor votes aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. So moving on to agenda item number 7, ordinance 592, amending MC 1.16.010 to establish clear criteria to determine qualified electors. So this is reading 1 of 2 because this is an ordinance. Becky, do we have to read the whole ordinance or do we need to call for a vote again if we want to just do it by title?
I would suggest, since it's an ordinance change and it's not huge, that we do read it entirely.
Okay, do you have it in front of you?
I do.
Okay, would you please read that?
Ordinance number 592, an ordinance to amend the Cave Junction Municipal Code Title 1, Chapter 16, Section 010 to establish clear criteria to be used by the city's elections officer to determine a qualified elector. Whereas an amendment to the municipal code was deemed necessary, now therefore the city of Cave Junction ordains as follows. Section 1, Municipal Code Title 1, Chapter 16, Section 010, Paragraph A is amended to read, A, a qualified elector may be nominated for an elective city office to be filled at the election when the following criteria only have been confirmed by the city elections officer. 1, a qualified elector has consistently maintained their registered voter status at a property annexed and made a part of the city limits of the city of Cave Junction during the 12 months immediately preceding an election, and said registration is demonstratable by the elector's voter registration history to be provided by Josephine County Elections Officer. 2, a qualified elector has resided on a property annexed and made a part of the city limits of Cave Junction during the 12 months immediately preceding an election, said residency to be demonstrated by producing an unaltered Oregon driver's license that reflects a real property address for property annexed and made a part of the city limits of Cave Junction. And 3, substitutions of verification required to confirm registered voter status and or residency within the city limits of Cave Junction will not be accepted. Passed by the Common Council of the City of Cave Junction this 9th day of, we're not May. Yay, this 11th day of April.
But it has to say May because it has to be through.
Oh, you're right.
So you're right, Becky.
Okay, submitted and approved by the Mayor of Cave Junction on the 9th day of May. Thank you. Ann.
All right, thank you very much. So I would entertain a motion as second to approve the amendment to resolution 940. Am I correct on that? Yes. No, 94, excuse me. Wrong number. It's
592.
Yes.
I move that we approve ordinance 592.
I'll
Okay.
second that motion.
All right, so we have motion and a second to approve, but since this is a reading, we don't do a vote.
Correct.
My error, I apologize. That was the first reading. Our second reading will be at our next meeting. So you'll hear about this again next time.
But we can still ask questions, correct?
Sure, I don't know why
Yeah,
not.
all right, if there's, all right, we'll start, see if there's any questions. Council 1,
I have no questions at this time.
Council 2,
No questions.
Council 3,
Obviously, I do. My question is, one, Monique brought up a point submitted and approved by the mayor of City of Cave Junction this 9th day of May 2012. So we do want to correct that date way down at the bottom of that paper.
Thank
The
you.
other comment is that because being a non-affiliated voter during the primary election, I like to change my party affiliation so that I can actually vote for a candidate. Will that affect my being able to run for an office in any way, Becky? I mean, I'm thinking it shouldn't, but you tell me, you're the elections officer.
No, you're changing your affiliation. You're not changing your address.
Right. Okay. That's why, but I wanted to verify that with you and get it on a record. So that way, when I do that.
So what we have seen is we have folks who want to vote in different jurisdictions. And so they will change their address and allow them to vote here in Cave Junction, and then they can put an address out in Josephine County and vote on issues out in Josephine County. And that's what we're
right
to prevent.
Right. Got it. Thank you.
Council 4, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. All right, so moving on. Agenda item number 8 is our public hearing for a fuel station convenience store, CK Designs, located at 145 North Redwood Highway. This is a type 3 change of use new business. So I'm going to suspend the council meeting and open a public hearing. So moving on. You have to bear with me. There is a lot of public information and test criteria that has to be read out. So I'm going to read the whole thing to you because it needs to be part of the public record. So tonight we are holding a public hearing regarding an application for a fuel station / convenience store at 145 North Redwood Highway. This application was submitted by Clyde White, PNE Construction, representing CK Design LP. This property is identified as Assessor's Map 39-08-21-AA Tax Lot 3105. This is a request for a change of use / new business type 3 legislative hearing. For the purposes of this hearing, the City Council will act as Planning Commission. The hearing will proceed as follows. After the preliminary legal matters that I will take the Planning Commission through, all staff will make a presentation followed by the applicant's presentation. Any citizens who wish to address the issue will be given the opportunity. Finally, there will be a time for rebuttal by the applicant. The applicant will have 15 minutes for their presentation plus 10 minutes for rebuttal. Any members of the audience that wish to speak to this hearing specifically must forward a chat to the city recorder and state in the body of their chat agenda item number 8 and provide their name and phone number. The city recorder will call on each person and provide their that provided this information in a chat. The Planning Commission members may ask questions of the applicant, staff, or anyone else who testifies. Legal matters. A, burden of proof, criteria, and appeal rights. The applicant has a burden of proving that the application is consistent with the City of Cave Junction's development code, comprehensive plan, and any applicable municipal code provision. The criteria that must be addressed in this hearing are listed under 2.0 of the staff report provided dated April 4th, 2022. Any testimony, argument, or evidence that speakers provide must be directed at these criteria or at some other criteria in the code or comprehensive plan which you believe should apply to this decision. If your testimony would be repetitious, but you would like the opportunity to appeal the decision, you must provide a chat to the city recorder that states agenda item number 7, your number 7, I thought it was number 8. And I believe it's agenda item number 8 that we're on, not 7. Yes.
Correct.
Your name, address, and phone number in the chat. Only those who have appeared before this planning commission in person or in writing will have standing to appeal this item. Prior to the conclusion of this public hearing, the applicant or anyone who takes part in the hearing may request a continuance to ask that the record be left open to present additional information. If there is such a request, the Planning Commission will either continue the public hearing to a date certain or leave the record open for at least 7 days for additional written evidence, argument, or testimony. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to allow the Planning Commission and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. So B, conflicts of interest. Do any members of this Planning Commission wish to declare a potential or actual conflict of interest or bias? And we'll start with council number 1.
No, I do not.
Council number 2.
I do not.
Council number 3.
None here.
Council number 4.
I do not.
And the mayor also has no conflicts of interest. Ex parte contacts. Do any members of this planning commission wish to report any site visits or ex parte contacts? And we'll start with council number 1.
I do not.
Council number 2.
I do not.
Council number 3.
I drive by the location on a regular basis because I eat at the restaurant across the street. However, I have not gone inside that site for a very long time.
Okay, thank you. Council number 4.
No.
And the mayor has had no ex parte contacts. D, challenges to planning commission's jurisdiction. Does any member of the audience wish to challenge the jurisdiction of the city council to act as planning commission to hear this matter? And usually what should happen, Becky, is somebody, if they want to challenge they need to put something in the chat. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll give that a minute. If you want to challenge the planning commissioner's jurisdiction, please put a chat, open up a chat to the city recorder. I'm going to go on. Do you have anything, Becky? Because we have one more that for if it challenges.
No.
E, challenges to impartiality of any member of the planning commission. Does any member of the audience wish to challenge the impartiality or ex parte disclosure of any member of the planning commission? And again, if you want to challenge it, you need to put a comment into the chat. Are you seeing anything?
None received so far.
Okay, moving on, that concludes the legal matters. So number 3, we'll have the staff report and presentation, and Ryan Nolan, the city's contract planner from RV Cog, will present the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor Martell. And yes, for the record, I am Ryan Nolan, contract planner from Rogue Valley Council of Governments. And as the mayor stated, we're looking at a proposed change of use. So I'll briefly review the staff report provided in your packet. You also have the application, a site plan, some comments from the city engineer. Also attending tonight, I see the applicant's agent, potentially 2 agents are here to discuss this if you have further questions or need additional information. So the site at 145 North Redwood Highway is a fairly recently developed commercial site that has a building, parking lot, and landscaping, which would conform with our current architectural standards, parking lot, landscaping, and other development standards related to commercial development in the commercial zone. The applicant is proposing to change the use. It's been approved as a retail office, and that would essentially be the same, going from what was a Radio Shack business would now be a convenience store with the addition of fuel sales and a canopy and pumps at the center of the parking lot, essentially. So there will be some revisions to the parking lot design. Included in this application in the review, you can see that they're proposing to exceed the minimum number of parking spaces, which is based on the square footage of the commercial building. There will also be retaining landscaping that would conform with the city's standards. And the new canopy over the fuel stations would also comply with the city's setback standards, height standards, and other standards. So it's an approved use. It's a new use, but a slight revision of a previously designed commercial space. They'll be utilizing full city services. They will be providing further information to ODOT. In the report, it says the ODOT comment is attached, but I see that the staff report in your packet doesn't include it. So I'll just read what the comments were from ODOT after reviewing the application. They stated that the conversion will trigger a change of use under ODOT evaluation criteria. The applicant will be required to obtain a new approach permit. The applicant will need to obtain a miscellaneous utility permit prior to any disturbance within the state right-of-way. Nothing will be allowed to be built within the permanent easement at the intersection, and ODOT will need to review and approve drainage calculations. So those will be conditions required of ODOT of the applicant. Also, Josephine County reviewed this, and due to the new canopy and potential internal changes to the structure, they will be required to obtain permits from Josephine County relating to new buildings and potentially new electrical and plumbing permits. So the setbacks in the application would meet the standards, including the vision clearance of both driveways. Setbacks of the existing commercial building meet standards, as do the setbacks from the new fueling canopy. This meeting has been properly noticed, giving neighbors an opportunity to provide comment. The only comments received were those from jurisdictional agencies. So in conclusion, staff feels that this has met the criteria required and would suggest that staff, that the city council approve this application with 8 conditions. Those being, number 1, the appearance of the store and fueling canopy shall be consistent with the building elevations submitted with the application. Number 2, the applicant shall comply with all city engineer comments found in the attached letter. Number 4, landscaping shall conform to the landscape narrative submitted with the application. Number 5, all utilities shall be placed underground. All connections to the city's sanitary sewer shall be approved by the city public works and city engineer and may require pre-treatment or other treatment/screening devices. A full utility plan shall be submitted for review and approval by city public works and city engineer. Number 7, in addition to providing motor vehicle parking as shown on the site plan, bicycle parking shall be provided as outlined in section 17.32.020G of the City of Cape Junction Municipal Code, no farther away from the main entrance than the closest vehicle parking space. And number 8, the development shall provide one or more of the pedestrian amenities listed in chapter 17.28.090 section G, which would be 1, a plaza, courtyard, square, or extra wide sidewalk next to the building entrance. Number 2, a sitting space, for example, benches or ledges between the building entrance and the sidewalk. Number 3, building canopy, awning, pergola, or similar weather protection. And number 4, public art, which incorporates seating. Presently, depending on the full final plan, the extra wide sidewalk is already existing in front of the building, and that would satisfy that development so long as it's not altered. So with those 8 conditions, it's staff's recommendation to approve this. And if there are any questions from the city council regarding the application, I'd be happy to try to answer those.
Okay, I'll entertain if there are any questions from the council of our Mr. Nolan. Council 1.
Yeah, I've got a couple questions. This intersection, I drive by daily, and I'm concerned about the approach for the truck to fill the gas station. Not so much the approach from southbound, but more I guess the egress. I'm channeling my inner Dan Bosch, if you guys can't tell. Coming out of that place, the truck's going to have to go all the way up to Laurel or Old Stage in order to effectively get out of that if they're coming from southbound approach. And my other question is, with the turn lane that's there, I read the traffic study and how the cars stacked up would suffice on one side, but coming southbound, I'm a little concerned that the left-hand turn there is going to create a whole lot of havoc. Can we talk about that a little bit in a little more depth?
Certainly. So I think when the applicant comes up, hopefully they can speak to that some, but I would, from my comment, staff's relying heavily on ODOT to review their application process for their change of use. There will, the Redwood Highway is a state highway. So the facility at East River Street there is a city street at that point, but the intersection is of a state highway. So the real change of use for that approach will come from ODOT. But I think that's a good question. In their traffic analysis, can they see a path where a fuel truck can exit? And so I would encourage the applicant's representative to try to address that when they speak. I don't know if I have anything further to add at this point, but if you have any other questions or comments, Ethan, that's appropriate to make those.
I do. The other comment that I had is that with my business, I deal with truck drivers all day long, and many of them are anxious to get to their next stop. And so that's why I asked about taking a detour up to Old Stage or Laurel. Many of these truck drivers are ready to and anxious to get to their next load so that they can make more money. And let me tell you, truck drivers are in high demand if you don't know that already. And so they're going to take shortcuts, and they're going to break laws, and they're going to turn wherever they need to get to the next stop as fast as they can. What steps is the applicant taking to ensure that the safety of our residents isn't going to be compromised in that aspect?
Again, good questions that I feel would be best suited for the applicant to discuss.
And we'll wait to the applicant section presentation, which will be next. Council number 2, do you have any questions for Mr. Nolan?
No, I do not.
Council number 3?
I thought Ethan brought up some really good questions, and you channeled my inner Dan Bosch also, Ethan. So I think we all channel Dan Bosch when it comes to these public hearings anymore. We miss him. I too am really concerned about the egress of leaving that facility, and I am really concerned about that. There's no good way to egress out of there without going through residential streets, and it's really kind of a concern. I'm thinking in particular during the summertime, when we have kids out there playing around and this and that and the other. I'm a little bit or quite concerned. Also, after having read that traffic study, I was concerned about some of the comments about there not being much traffic generated on that egress. When I leave the River Valley restaurant, I have a very hard time leaving that restaurant and making a left turn onto Redwood Highway. That's a very difficult thing to do. And I see people leaving this facility and trying to turn left to do exactly the same thing, and having the same conflict, especially in the summer, especially when we're dealing with RVs and dealing with tourists and the traffic that is generated there. So I am concerned about the traffic impact. And I know they did their traffic study in January from 4 to 5 p.m. or something like that, 3 to 5 p.m. And the traffic in January is very different than the traffic in July. So I think that that's one thing we need to really be cognizant of, just like when the traffic study was done for Grocery Outlet. And Ethan, I'm not pointing any things, but we have found that traffic changed drastically when Grocery Outlet came in from what we were told it would be like when that traffic study was presented to us. And I think we just need to be aware of that. I'm not sure that intersection is ready for that. I'm not pleased by what ODOT's interpretation is on that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Council number 4.
Yeah, so I noticed today driving just by that they were doing, there was an excavator and a skid steer, and they were breaking up the asphalt on that parking today. Was that relative to this, Ryan? Do we know?
I would assume it probably is. And again, I think the applicant could probably speak to that better than I would be able to.
Okay. I just, again, I mean, I hate to sound like a broken record, but I don't see an easy way for vendors to be able to get in and get out and access that with patrons on a road that on each end has a school, and dealing with school traffic, dealing with kids, dealing with a crosswalk right there. I understand it's a prime location. I am extremely worried with the fact that there's no backside to the building. There's no easy way for a Pepsi driver or a Coke driver or Fritos or, whoever it may be to get in there and unload. They're going to have to do it on the face side of the building, which means that they're going to be chewing up the little bit of parking that's in there to do that. So where do the patrons go that want to go in there and shop? So are they illegally parking on the street? And I know that that's not necessarily the business owner's responsibility. It's just that's not what that was designed for. And dealing with semis going in and out and trying to pull grade. I'm assuming that they would have to go in the East River entrance and then come out the 199 side. So I'm assuming they wouldn't want to pull that grade leaving on East River, because that is the hill right there. I mean, maybe they would. There's not enough space for them to go left, which means they're going right. And then I'm not sure what they do. They go through residential to back down to 199, or they go all the way up to Laurel or Old Stage and cut across, which puts them right in the middle of a residential there. And so there's no easy way for vendors to get in and out of there. So my concerns echo Ethan's, and maybe a little more even severe. For me, that crosswalk right there, River Valley hosting Joe's Place for free food for youth under 17 on Wednesdays, directly across from that, using that crosswalk. I'm concerned with youth being able to get back and forth there, and the semi traffic that will be increased.
Okay, thank you. I don't have anything. I've looked at some of the same concerns about the traffic issues and getting in and out of there. I think it's been expressed pretty much by other counselors. So I'd like to move on to the applicant's presentation. The applicant may now provide their presentation and has 15 minutes to complete the presentation. So who is representing the applicant?
Good evening. Jan Shuka is representing CK Designs.
Thank you.
Am I okay to speak?
Yes, please.
Great. Our traffic engineer did the analysis and wanted to wait as well to see what the traffic timing looked like during school pickup and drop off, which I think they were saying was one of the worst traffic times there on East River by their estimates. Their review showed that a majority of the traffic would be coming from existing car traffic. This company has been an operator of up to 140 stations in the past. And I think we've seen pretty consistently that it's critical to have a prime corner, because that's where we pull most of our traffic, as there's usually adequate fueling alternatives if we, in order to pull that traffic. The one other thing that I did want to mention is that there's also 4 parking spaces for electric charging vehicles planned on this site plan, which I don't
see that.
know if they were mentioned initially. Our vendors park usually as close to the store and take up 2 spaces as close to the store as they can, or wait for those spaces to become available during their loading and unloading. And the way we try that is to try to do it during the slowest time of the day. And we've had stations in places as busy as downtown Seattle with lots that have just a handful of spaces and have been able to manage the traffic through that method. I think previously we had discussed fueling truck taking the entrance off of North Redwood and exiting on East River. We usually have one direction of entrance and exit for trucks going to our lots, because usually it doesn't work both directions. I think we would have to analyze, but I believe we'd be able to have the truck enter on East River and then exit on North Redwood, but I would need to confirm the turning radiuses.
Can I jump in for a second?
Well, let me just find, was that the applicant's presentation? Are you finished with your presentation? And then I'll allow council to ask questions.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
pardon me, my name is Alan Sipe and I'm the architect working on behalf of CK Designs. And as Jan mentioned, we do have a site plan that I would be happy to share. I think I had sent Ryan, and thank you, Ryan, for all the help you've been in processing our application. The site plan actually, as Jan mentioned, parks the 13 cars plus 4 additional cars that or spaces that would be available for EV charging. That EV charging is on the frontage of North Redwood Highway. And one of the things our new site plan could possibly allow would be a loading area that would be adjacent to the store. So is there a way for me to go ahead and share my screen?
I think so. Is this different than what's in our packet? Ryan, do you know?
I think it's in the packet, but it might be helpful for Alan to put it on the screen so that he can discuss it.
Okay, sure.
So just click the green share screen.
I think so.
Okay, and here you go.
There we go. Yeah.
Are you able to see this now?
Yes, and that is in our
Okay.
packet.
That is in your packet?
Yes.
Okay. So what you see in the packet is these 4 spaces down here are going to be designated electric vehicle charging stations. And there are these 3 spaces on the north side of the building that quite possibly could be distributed for a loading zone, a designated loading zone that would free up some circulation congestion for vehicles that were coming to go ahead and provide product for the store. So that would be these 3 spaces right here. And we would still be in conformance with the requirements of the parking regulations for the city.
Okay.
Okay. So I thank you for that comment. And it does, I think it does a couple of things. It's always beneficial to provide more parking than is physically required by the jurisdiction. However, I think in the case of the comments, a loading zone may become more beneficial to the circulation pattern. A couple other things that I'd like to point out would be the let's see, the elevations of the building are going to stay basically the way they are right now. There is no particular interest in changing the materials or the roof lines. And in doing so, what we've done for the canopy is that we've, and I'm sorry for this notation across here, but the canopy is designed as an open-end gable canopy to mimic the architecture of the existing building. And I think with the standing seam roof and the commitment to mimicking that design, a rather non-conventional type canopy as you typically see, but one that I think fits the community and the architecture of the building quite nicely. The site itself is relatively flat as it goes from east to west. And what you see here is the canopy, which is no higher than the existing building, and then the enhancement of a cover over the electric vehicle charging stations that will be fronting North Redwood Highway. I know there was a comment with regard to that Ms. Councilman Dugas mentioned with regard to the work going on in the existing parking lot, and that happens to be part of our soil testing process. We were digging some trenches there to take soil samples.
Okay.
If that answers his question.
All right. Thank you. Were there any other questions from councilors before we move on? I'll start with Councilor One, Lane, Councilor Lane.
Thank you, Mayor. I still feel like this site is not equipped to handle the type of deliveries that you think it's going to handle. And I'll give you the skinny. First and foremost, I'm not opposed to competition because I do have a couple of hats in the city of Cave Junction. But I can tell you that the delivery trucks that come out here are 53 feet long. That's just the trailer of these trucks. And we're talking about big, full-on big rigs that you see on I-5 all day long. Try to squeeze one of those, just one of those into your lot at one given time to deliver 2 or 3 pallets worth of product. I know that you guys are going to have at least 10 to 14 doors of product that's going to be delivered by at least 3 of these 53-foot trailers. You're going to have a real hard time trying to maneuver those guys in there. And with the center median directly in the middle of 199, they can't park like they do in front of, I believe it's Circle K, which I don't know if that's legal or not, but it still seems to be the safest way for them to ingress into Circle K. There's some major challenges here in accordance with just standard deliveries that are going to be at least 2 to 4 times a week, depending on how busy we are. So I think those need to be addressed, and it's not going to happen very easily with that intersection the way that it's built.
Okay, thank you. Council 2, do you have any more questions of the applicant?
No, I don't.
Okay, Council 3.
I I have to concur with what Ethan says. I am very concerned about that. And I would think we would need to put a condition in this whole thing that delivery trucks might be limited to once or twice, X number of delivery trucks once or twice a week or something along that line in order to help mitigate that. I'm not saying that would be successful. I'm just saying that that might be a way. My other concern is, and please don't anybody take this the wrong way, we currently have 2 filling stations in our town. We have authorized Little Pantry to come in with an 8-pump station at the north end of town, and now this facility. It seems like now the idea is wherever there's an empty corner, let's put a gas station there. And I question whether that really is a smart use of our place, of our town or not, and our ground efforts and all that. I don't know if the applicant's aware that we have approved Little Pantry or not. I don't know what their progress is, but I do think that that's something that that should be configured in this scenario. I am very concerned about the youth and the concerns with the schools. We are very close to these school systems, and we do have students that walk. And so I just know that traffic is going to be an issue.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Councillor Dugas, do you have any further questions?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the plot plan now that we have in our packet. So it shows a sketch of a fueling truck blocking the parking spaces there and what would be the electric stations as well. So if you have a standard vendor and a fuel truck in there at the same time, how do people navigate around your station?
There is I'm sorry, am I not on mute?
You are not muted.
Okay, great. There is a 24-foot backup provided between the fuel truck and the parking space itself, and that's the required backup for vehicles. The tanks have been arranged for an inline configuration, which allows the truck the availability to be positioned almost directly over the tanks.
I understand what you're saying, and I see that you meet the 24-foot, but what I'm not understanding is if you're blocking traffic, if you're blocking parked cars and there are incoming cars and you're refueling, where do the patrons park?
Well, there are 9 spaces in front of the store.
But you said that you wouldn't be opposed to 3 of those spaces being turned into a loading section, so you would have your, right, so that would put you at 10. So everything that would be on the west end bordering 199 would be unusable because of a refueling truck being set up where you guys have it in your plot plan. Right, so if you're taking those out and there's nothing besides the 2 handicap parking because you've deemed the other section loading only, how do people park at the establishment?
Sure, and a point that I would like to, I've been doing gas stations for a number of years, and one of the things that typically happens is more often than not, 50% of the cars that utilize the facility of a convenience store utilize it while parked at a gas pump. And so we even have cities in Southern California that acknowledge those as parking spaces on a ratio per space. So we do feel like we have adequate parking, and as the operator mentioned, there are stores, believe it or not, with inner city stores with 2 and 3 parking spaces.
Right, but that's not relevant here because we're not in an inner city location. We're in a town of 2,300 people with a lot of people that don't deal with that type of congestion and won't know how to react to it.
Right. And to your point, the convenience store itself is, a large enough store to be able to support a good number of people. But at the same time, those fuel drops are, they take about 25 minutes a piece. And so the scenario that you've painted for a lack of parking is really for 25 minutes out of probably a 3-day period.
How many deliveries a week between fuel and standard vendors do you guys see coming on average?
I'll let Jan speak to that.
The amount of deliveries for standard vendors would probably be closer to peak. And the number of fuel deliveries would be 2 runs per week.
Okay, I heard the fuel, but
and usually those trucks are smaller trucks. They're not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think my internet is running slow. I was saying that there's 2 fuel deliveries per week based on the projected sales at this location. And there'd probably be 6 store deliveries, but a majority of those trucks are smaller trucks that carry just a subset of goods.
No, I can guarantee you that the 3 trucks that you're going to get, Columbia, Coke, and Pepsi, are going to be 53-foot trailers. They don't deliver a smaller truck out here. Trust me, I know.
Okay, I'd like to move us on a little bit. We still have public comment to go through. So Becky, you want to, again, let me see, where am I? I think I lost a page. Sorry. Okay, so now I'd like to open this up for public testimony. And if you want to make a comment for the record, please put information in the chat, include your name and reference agenda item number 8, and include your phone number. And a mailing address actually would be beneficial too. So you'll get 3 minutes to speak. And any written materials you would like to present to the Planning Commission will need to be provided to the city recorder no later than close of business on April 13th, 2022. So let's begin with speakers in support of this land division / subdivision. So first of all, if you want to make a comment in support of this. Are we receiving anything, Becky? You're muted.
I've not received a comment for anyone in support of this hearing.
Okay, well, you still can put something in, but I'd like to move on now. I'll open the floor for speakers wishing to speak in opposition to this land division / subdivision. Same thing, put a comment in the chat to our city recorder with your name and referencing agenda item number 8.
Monique Allen would like to speak.
Okay.
Are we ready for me?
Yes.
Okay, so my name is Monique Allen. I am a property owner near this site. I'm at 213 North Redwood Highway. We have this proposed site as we travel north. We have River Valley Restaurant, which shares a parking lot with my multiple businesses. And I really appreciate that all the counselors are looking at the potential issue of traffic. And that is my main concern. However, my concern is not with the vendors. The vendors can be controlled. The vendor drivers can be made sure that they come at certain times and they pull into certain spots and they're very safe. The general public, however, cannot be controlled. And my issue is what's going to make the general public decide to use a right in, right out? They're not necessarily going to do that. They're going to pull out on River Street and turn left to get to that traffic light. And if that light is red or they see a lot of traffic, they're going to cut straight across and enter behind River Valley Restaurant and cut through our parking lot. Trina Mason is not here this evening to speak. Her and I have discussed it, and we both see a major concern for people cutting through our parking lots to get in and out to access the East River Street side because the median that is down the middle of the highway. So my concern is I would really like to see a lot more traffic studies done to see what it's going to do to that corner. We already have a lot of cars going in and out of our lots that utilize that corner of East River Street and 199. And with just Radio Shack, we had issues, people cutting through the parking lots because they didn't want to wait for the light, wanting to be in a hurry. And now, mind you, I'm not against the project. I am 100% for commerce. I am for free trade. But I really see major concerns with the way that intersection is developed with the medians there, that the general public is not going to go up down River Street, come back out to the highway on Laurel. They're going to be doing U-turns or cutting through our parking lot. The public is lazy. The public can't necessarily be told you have to go this way. So my traffic concern is the public, not the vendors. And I just really hope you guys take a lot more time to do a lot more traffic studies on that corner.
Okay, thank you. Becky, have we had any more chats come in? All right, so let's move on. This is an opportunity for rebuttal by the applicant. Does the applicant wish to respond? And you're allowed up to 10 minutes to rebut. So who would like to, which one of the, it's going to go first? Does the applicant wish to, okay, Alan.
Thank you very much, technology. Well, I guess what I would, it's interesting to hear the comments of the local entrepreneurs and their current situations. Here you have a facility that's actually been closed for several years, and you're experiencing some traffic issues, I believe Ms. Allen said, with regard to people cutting through parking lots and so forth. We have the traffic study that has been performed for a location with a traffic engineer. It has been reviewed by ODOT, but as was mentioned, a change of use permit is part of our application process through ODOT, which regulates the traffic issues associated with the impacts that future development on sites would have to the state highway system, as well as encompassing roads that are tributaries to that state highway system. So I don't, there are measures that can be implemented with regard to the deliveries, timing of deliveries, and as was offered, a loading zone designated for delivery trucks. So I hope that the Planning Commission can review the application on the merits of the information that was provided and commented on by the design professionals of ODOT and the county planning department, and can support our desire to go ahead and potentially work with ODOT, work with any particular conditions of approval that could be suggested in order to be able to approve this project.
Thank you. I'll move on to questions of the staff. Does the staff have any further comments or need clarifications regarding the application?
Again, this is Ryan Nolan, contract planner. The only comment that I would have is, in staff's review, it was determined in staff's opinion that all criteria are met. Tonight, it appears the city council has brought up one main concern, which would be vehicular circulation. If the city council feels that they need more information from the applicant regarding vehicular circulation, I think you should maybe discuss and try to narrow down exactly what you would like to see. As you move forward, the choices would be to approve with conditions as recommended by staff, to continue if you feel that there are additional items that you need to hear about, more information that you need, or to deny if you feel that there is some standard that cannot be met. And if anybody is looking to deny the application, I would encourage you to take time to analyze a specific criteria that's not being met by the application. So that's the suggested kind of what are the next steps for the city council. And again, the staff's opinion is that with conditions, including further review by ODOT and approval of a driveway encroachment permit for a change of use, that this application can be approved. But I do see that there are some significant concerns of the city council regarding vehicular circulation and truck loading areas and patterns. So those are my final comments.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the planning commission have any questions for the staff or the applicant at this time? And I'll just go ahead and start with Council One.
Do we have the ability to table this and maybe have a workshop?
I don't know. What?
So a choice would be to continue it to a specific date and time for a continuation of the hearing, and provide what it is that you would like to address at that next hearing date. And if we have a date and time tonight, you can continue it without renoticing the hearing. But it would have to be an action meeting, a public meeting, not a workshop.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Council Two, you have any further questions for staff?
No, not at this time.
Okay, Council number Three.
Yes, Ryan, tell me, what else can we do to find out more about traffic? It just seems like we keep running into traffic surveys. I recognize when Mr. Sype tells us that the professionals the traffic engineers and the professionals have done their due diligence. We are the professionals that live in this town. We professionally live in this town and are the experts on what happens within this town. And so we are the ones that ultimately make that decision as to whether this is a good fit or not. And several of us are concerned about it being a good fit. I have real hesitancy about seeing what a traffic study done on an afternoon in January, how that relates to traffic patterns in July in our community. Because we know that there's vastly different traffic in January and July. So, and I don't know how we project. Do you know any way how that's done?
Well, my suggestion, I think what could help the city council would be to request that the applicant provide modeling for a truck loading area. Where would the vendor trucks actually park, and some kind of a pattern of delivery so that you could see where on site would those trucks actually fit. So that's one issue. And I think that the applicant could provide potentially a revised site plan or just additions to the site plan showing where they propose the loading trucks would park. Then the second key issue, I think, is the gas delivery trucks and what are potential points of ingress and egress, and again, where would they be parked? And if they could model that in several different options so you could see what would directional signage look like, where would the trucks come in, where would they go out, would they turn up River Street, would they turn east, west, north, south. I think if they modeled some of those options, that might help you see what it would look like. I think it's difficult to try to control private traffic that would cut across into the neighbor's lot. That's a concern, and that would potentially be addressed through law enforcement. That's the only issue I can see. I mean, you could try requiring them to put signage that you can't cut across the private parking lot, but that's kind of difficult to accomplish. So my suggestion would be that the city council would ask if that's something that would help you for new drawings showing points of ingress, egress, and parking for gas delivery, and some kind of modeling of where the truck loading would actually be able to take place on site.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, I think that was 3. Council number 4, you have any further comments or questions of the staff?
Not sure how it got approved to get to this point, honestly. I'm concerned because it looks like you're trying to shoehorn a business that just doesn't fit in that location. And so it's, you know, no other comments besides that.
Okay. I guess I realize that one of the things that's bothering me the most that I haven't heard a whole lot about is the issue of student traffic. I'm not as concerned about the elementary school because they usually have parents that accompanying them if they're walking any distance. But I do know that the high school uses that as a main area to walk, you know, whether it's during break or whatever. And I don't know if there's any study if there's any way to, maybe that's just a concern I have, or I don't know if there's any study around that, but if they walk there, they're going to have to walk across the major area where traffic is going in and out all the time, you know, will be going in and out, well, out, I guess the outside. And I guess this is for you, Ryan. How do you address that? Or is that even something that can be studied?
That's a good question. We did provide a lot of evidence to convince ODOT to put in a crosswalk at River Street, suggesting that there was a lot of pedestrian traffic. And that was kind of a lot of anecdotal evidence, photographs, numbers of students who were crossing. That was related to traffic control devices at an intersection. I don't know what you do at a driveway to really address pedestrian crossing. Maybe there would be some kind of potential for a signage at the driveway to caution there are pedestrians here. I'm unsure how to address that. That's a good question.
Yeah, as I thought about it, I am more concerned about that. I guess it's the you know, the one on River Street. So I'd like to do, you know, don't know what to say.
It was also not too long ago, Mayor, a safe routes to school study that was done through ODOT and through Three Rivers that addressed exits or egress and ingress from Lorna Burn in particular, and to the high school and to Evergreen. We might want to consult that study to see if that was addressed and see how that relates to this, because that has to do completely with student safety. And all in all, I agree with Jesse. This doesn't fit. I'm thrilled about the electric charging stations. I've always felt they belong on that, in that corner. However, this is not a good fit.
So Ryan, would you remind us at this point, you know, before we close the hearing, did we need to make a decision? We don't make any decision now. Is this a first hearing, or?
You are required to make some kind of a decision tonight, which would be to approve as requested, to approve with conditions as suggested in the staff report, or if you have other conditions, you can add those, to continue if there's further information that you need from the applicant or further information you need to review, or to deny if you can identify a criteria specifically that the application is not meeting.
And does those have to happen as part of the public hearing meeting, or do we do that within a council meeting?
So if you're choosing to continue the hearing, that would be a choice you would make before you close the hearing. If you're
Okay.
going to approve or deny, you would close the hearing and then move forward with approval or denial.
Okay, so I guess at this point, then I would ask council if anybody had, so the only decision to make at this point is, do we want to continue the hearing? And I guess I'll ask council, does anybody want to continue the hearing, or are we ready to close?
Ready to close.
Okay,
Tina has her hand up.
yeah, sorry, I can't see. I'll just count everybody. Council 1,
Well, this is a tough one, really tough one for me. I think I'm ready to close, but my closure opinion kind of depends on staff's approval of why I would disapprove.
okay, so to close, council 3.
No, wait, me.
Oh, I'm sorry, council 2. We kind
Yeah,
of
I would like to continue it, and especially in light of the comment made by Monique Allen. That was something I was not aware of.
Well, I'm sorry, what did you say you would want? You want to close, or do you want to continue the?
I would like to continue it.
Okay. So we have. Okay, let's see. We've got all the council. I'm not exactly sure how we should proceed at this point. Do I ask for a?
Well, you haven't asked Jeannie what she wants to do. And
Oh,
I
I'm
already
sorry,
stated
did I
that
miss?
I'm ready to close.
Okay, I'm sorry, Jeanne. Yeah.
I would be glad to continue the hearing and to try to get more feedback from the community, but I really would like to get more traffic information, more accurate traffic information. I really do feel that what we have is not appropriate. I'm very concerned.
So Brian, what we're split? Does that mean that I should ask for?
I think with the request for continuance, you need to honor that and may have a motion to continue the hearing.
Okay, so if somebody would like, I will.
I move that we continue this hearing.
I second it.
And we need to include for how many days? Don't we need to have, or does
It's
that happen?
14 days, isn't it?
You can choose when you want to continue the meeting to, but we should pick a specific date and time.
At this point, right? Okay, so
Correct.
I need a motion for to continue the hearing at a specific, for a certain date.
I would suggest April 25th, which is our next council meeting.
Okay.
That was going to be my
Okay,
suggestion.
so we have a motion to continue this hearing till April 25th. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Can we make decisions here on that, Becky, at this time? Call a vote for that? Okay. So we have a motion and a second to continue this hearing for until April 25th. And do we need to do discussion, or can I just call a vote?
Call a vote.
Question.
Yeah, I'm going to call the question. How do you vote, Council 1?
Nay.
Council 2?
Aye.
Council 3?
Aye.
Council 4?
No.
Okay, and the mayor's going to vote aye.
Motion to continue passes 3-0.
3-2.
3-2.
3-2, excuse me. I apologize.
All right, so I'm going to close the public hearing and return to our city council meeting. So so we actually did a continuation. Let's see.
So
Okay, so do I need to read all that about that we
No.
made a decision? Okay,
No.
so we did that. So now we're back in our regular meeting.
Brian, is it protocol for council to make suggestions to the applicant as to what they would like to see by the 25th of April, or how does that work?
Yes, it would be appropriate. So they've made a choice to continue the hearing. I think if the mayor wants to lead a short discussion about additional items, those in favor of continuation would like to see that would be appropriate. It would give the applicant better understanding of what they could bring back that might be helpful on the 25th. We've already mentioned some of them. If there's anything else specifically that somebody would like to see, it could be helpful to address that.
All right, I'll just ask Councilwoman, do you have anything additional to come back? Would you like to see?
I have nothing additional in favor. It just doesn't fit.
Okay, Councilmember 2.
I would like to see suggestions for alternative ingress and egress. I don't know if it's possible, but other options to consider.
Okay, let's see, that was 2, 3. Councilmember 3. Jean Ann, do you have any?
I'm sorry, I was on mute. I was concerned about the idea of getting more accurate traffic information and possibly, like maybe another traffic study done, maybe one during the morning time when we have students around, and also right at the middle of the day when students are leaving. And I know that this is a big deal, but students leave around 3 in the afternoon. We also have school buses that are there that I know one of the conditions would have to end up being hours of traffic from these vendors because of our school buses. That would end up having to be a condition that would be in there. But and Monique brought up a good point about I would like to get more information from the neighbors by the applicant, if that's at all possible.
I think notices were sent out and they were given an opportunity to respond.
That's true.
Okay, Council Ford, any other things you want to add to this?
I mean, I just don't see it.
Well, we'll have an opportunity to.
I would like to see more accurate model, more accurate dating or data. So I don't feel like the data that we have is relevant for the situation, number one. And I don't feel like the modeling that we currently have or the answers we were giving today satisfy anything as far as making me feel better about it. And so I'll stop there.
Thank you. So I guess I still think about the impact on school crossing, particularly on East River Street. They either have to walk on the north side of the walkway, and I think there's a walkway there, but most of them, there's also the south side of the walkway, and I don't know where that information would come from, but I'll definitely be observing in the next, was that 2 weeks, about what the impact of that is, because if there's a lot of traffic going in and out of that, what the crosswalk that is there now does not answer that as a problem.
Alan has his hand up.
Well, let's see, where are we at in the meeting? We're just I got a little lost, Becky. We're finished with that part?
Would it be appropriate to hear a further comment from Alan, or the public hearing has been closed? Ryan, what would you say?
Public hearing is motion to continue. You haven't started the next agenda item. I don't think it would be inappropriate to hear one more request from the applicant before we move on.
Right, if they'd like to do a rebuttal or have okay, thank you.
No.
Okay, Mr. Sipe, did you have a comment for the comment?
Can I just make one comment?
Yes, please.
The traffic engineer was there for a full day and they did choose to be there during school. We had initially requested that they do this study earlier in December, and they said that would not be appropriate because a large portion of the traffic flow does result from those neighboring schools. They found that the peak hours for the traffic at that intersection were between 4 and 5 p.m. During that time, they're seeing 30 pedestrian crossings. Just something to note from that file. And they did mention that there are seasonal changes within the township there, and that July shows a 38% increase in overall traffic to your area.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm going to move us along. We have already approved conditional hearing to resume April, what was the date? April 25th at our next meeting.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to agenda item number 9, which is the executive session. And I don't believe we have anything. So we're going to move on to agenda item number 10, which is comments from the recorder and council members. So starting with Councilor Lane, do you have any parting comments, not necessarily about this, but in general?
Thanks for specifying, Mayor. I appreciate that. Keeps me on track, and sometimes that's what I need. I really appreciate, again, the rain that we're having, a little bit of snow. Our little town is growing, and it's important for us to maintain the safety of our youth, because they're the ones that we really want to stay here and to flourish and to carry on the businesses that we're providing for them. So I'm all about growth and entrepreneurship, and just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page for the safety of our citizens. And let's keep doing what we're doing. We're on a good track. So it's not a negative thing. Let's just keep on rocking.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Jones, your parting comments?
Yeah. First, I'd like to acknowledge that this is really the first time we've ever come to a loggerheads between the members on something we're passionate about. And I thank my fellow councilors for sticking their neck out and saying, hey, whatever, it's really, it can be difficult sometimes. But I think everybody's stated their cases very well, and I appreciate it. I appreciate all the members of the community who were on the call tonight, as usual. But I wish we could get back to in-person meetings. That's it.
Yeah. Councilor Miles, do you have any parting comments?
Yes, I do too appreciate the members of this council and the members of our community. We are a growing community. I hadn't been down in the Shoemaker floodplain or area for a while, and I drove down there not too long ago, and I was shocked at the amount of growth that is down there, and it was amazing to me. So our little burg is definitely growing in leaps and bounds. And so maybe we do need 4 gas stations. I don't know. These gentlemen might be right on target. But it is nice to see us all working together and bringing up really good concerns, and everybody channeling their inner Dan Bosch. This is just really adorable. Yes, Ethan. I think as Jean Ann's gem for tonight, I think this is something we all want to keep in mind. This is words from Albert Einstein. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. So we need to make sure we judge people on what they are good at, not other things. So I thought that kind of fit with what we're talking about tonight. And I wish you all peace and love and happiness. And enjoy the rain for as long as it happens.
Yes. Councilor Dugas, any final comments you'd like to make?
Yeah, I am definitely pro-business, and I could care less if we had 4, 10, 15 gas stations. If we have adequate space for it, that's fine. I just don't think that the current location for this one fits. For me, that was my concern. If there's another spot in town, then hey, all for it. But I strongly believe that this is a bad decision, and but with that, I will go into it with an open mind at our next meeting. If they supply everything, I mean, I can definitely have my mind changed. I just, from the data that we have right now, there's nothing pointing that this is a good spot for this business. Again, appreciate all the members. Everybody brought valid points. appreciate the applicant for sticking it out and for the data that they supplied today. And we'll see what happens in a couple weeks. And I hope everybody enjoys the rain we're going to get the next few days.
Thank you. And before I do final comments, I realized I did not ask our city recorder, do you have any updates or comments?
Just to let council know that I am working on it so that we can have council meetings in person. I appreciate those comments. And I did include in the packet the annual report provided by Southern Oregon Sanitation.
Thank you. Well, I'll make the final comments then. I do think what we're experiencing is a good thing. You know, I see our city moving into some positive things, more businesses coming in, and a lot more positive activity. And along with that comes a lot of difficult decisions. And I appreciate all the work that the applicant has provided. And I think it was a good decision to move this, you know, another time. I really like, because I'm pro-business also. I want to see our community thrive, but I want to see it done in a safe and respectful way. And sometimes that's hard to predict. I really do appreciate everybody that in our community and the businesses that are coming in and the work that they've done. So I really also appreciate the rain. It is so good to see the rivers stay up for a while longer. We don't know what our summer is going to be like, and every little bit of rain, whether it's snow or rain, is appreciated. So with those comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion we adjourn.
All right, meeting adjourned at 9:12 p.m. And thank you everybody for all your hard work.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.